The Invisible Man. 2020. Lee Winnell manages to make it a horror movie, a sci-fi movie, a drama suspense thriller. Elizabeth Moss. Mwah! Stellar performance. Pleasantly surprised by this movie and how good it was. An amazing experience, an amazing movie, and I can't wait to see what Lee Winnell does next. Black Bear. I think the actors really make this movie what it is. Aubrey Plaza especially, with just her facial expressions, is mwah. She sells it with her facial expressions, her attitude. And Christopher Abbott, I've noticed this guy in 2 movies this year. The other one I'll get to later. I am on the lookout for this actor. He's one of the actors to me that everything I've seen him in so far, he's nailed it. I think this movie is a movie where you have to come up with your own interpretation as to what's going on. And that's good. I like movies that do that. And this does it in a very interesting and clever way. Possessor by Brandon Cronenberg. And I am going to be on the lookout for whatever Brandon Cronenberg does next after experiencing Possessor. Andrea Riseborough, who is a fucking chameleon when it comes to acting. She's one of my favorite actors now. Every element of this movie, from the narrative to the performances to the technical aspects, really make this movie what it is and sell it. It's a weird sci-fi movie. If you're into that weird movie kind of stuff like Under the Skin, it's a fun ride if you're into that weird shit. And Brandon Cronenberg, he doesn't disappoint.
I don't know about this crazy cat guy thing, man, but it is nice to finally talk to you about something other than jazz, yo.
Huh. How come we, never talked about your life before?
You never asked, but I'm glad you did this time.
Looking good, brother.
Great show. I grabbed a couple road lollies.
Soul is a Pixar movie, and as usual, it's one of those Pixar movies that is fun for the whole family. It's an animation that is made for kids, but at the same time, the message that is within the movie is catered for adults, so it's good for all ages. And I feel that the message of this movie is talking about how we need to enjoy life. We need to look at life in a beautiful way, and that way we can spread joy to other people. We should start looking at the little things and start appreciating things more and not taking everything for granted, because sometimes those little things could be the big things. So I thought this was a beautiful movie that had a beautiful message, and the voice performances from Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey and everybody was great. The story was great. The visuals are always fantastic. I love the afterlife sequences. Everything about this movie is mwah! His House. It has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and you know what? Rightfully so, because this movie hits so hard. Because this isn't just a horror movie where, oh, we're going to scare you and that's it. It's just popcorn entertainment. No, this movie has a message. This movie has a story, and it's a solid story. And you can say this movie is very sad. It's a very sad movie because the story, man, the stuff that happens in it is just kind of sad. And then when the horror hits, it hits. Because the visuals in here are really terrifying. And then they're also very impressive. Because there is some sequences in here where I'm like, okay, how did they do that? That looks amazing. Wow.
Yes.
If you want me to do it, then I will.
Yes.
Paul. Hang on.
Swallow. I love the main actor in this movie, Haley Bennett. I love the interviews of her explaining the role.
I think like her taking that control in this kind of patriarchal world helped her find her way to her truth. You know, it could be anything, and this just happens to be Pica, but this thing had to happen for her to regain consciousness.
The director of this movie paints a very vivid picture of the main character's experience and getting us to feel empathy for her and to understand what she's going through. So all the aspects in here, the technical aspects, the cinematography, visuals are great. The acting is amazing all across the board, especially from our main actor. And the narrative is easy to follow. It's a drama movie, it's a psychological drama, and it's a slow burn. It's very slow because you could say it's a character study. We're getting to know the ins and outs of this main character's mind and what is making them do these things, you know? And then so then by the end of it, you can say it's sad, it's disturbing, it's heartbreaking, but then you are watching this character go on her journey. In the words of the guy who showed up at the end of the Blaze Foley movie directed by Ethan Hawke.
Sorry about your troubles, man. But everybody's got them.
Everybody's got problems. And that's why I love movies so much. We get to experience their problems. We get to feel it. But then once it's all said and done, we don't have to deal with it anymore. And this main character in Swallow goes through a lot of emotional shit. Love and monsters. Woo! This movie touched my heart and my soul. It made me cry 3 different times. Dylan O'Brien. His performance in this movie is mwah, but the journey in this movie is the most important thing. We are watching the main character go through this journey, and I'm emotionally invested in it. And then on top of that, they get a dog involved. You know, now I'm just going buck wild crazy. Everything about it, from the special effects to the performances to the character's journey, made me love this movie. Palm Springs. I think the main thing here are the 2 main leads, and Andy Samberg and Christine Malati. They have excellent chemistry on screen, and this is a romantic comedy with some sci-fi elements in it. And in order for a romantic comedy to work, you have to have 2 leads that you enjoy seeing together on screen. And these 2 gave a fantastic performance that by the part where they're just going on their shenanigans, I want to be them. I feel every element of their pain and their struggle in this movie, and their fun and their joy and all that kind of stuff. But the sci-fi element definitely adds another layer of flavor to it that makes it super fun and enjoyable and entertaining to watch from beginning to the very end. Promising Young Woman, directed by Emerald Fennell. I love this movie. I love this movie because I think it has its own style, narratively and visual-wise, because the visuals in this thing are absolutely fantastic. I love the set design. I feel that this movie is a complete cinematic experience all the way around on the technical front. And then the narrative side of the story is chaotic. I feel it goes all over the place, but in a good way, because it keeps me guessing as a viewer. It's not predictable. I don't know what's going to happen. So I love that kind of stuff. And then, on top of all of that, Carey Mulligan's performance is fantastic. She has range, and then she flips it on a dime, and then she appears intimidating in certain scenes. So it's kind of frightening, you know, And I love it. I love all that stuff. So every aspect of this movie is mwah. And now, for my favorite movie of the year. Drum roll, please. Another round. Another round. Yes, this is an amazing movie. And one of the key factors for me as to why I think this movie is so amazing is because of the four main actors that we have here. We have Mads Mikkelsen, and you can never go wrong with a Mads Mikkelsen performance. Then we have Thomas Bo Larsen, Magnus Milling, and Lars Ranthe. And then we also have Maria Bonnevie, who plays Mads Mikkelsen's wife in the movie.
This film is not only about alcohol. This film is about being alive. This is about being awakened when you're sort of dwelling through your midlife crisis or in your everyday gray routine. It's about being reawakened. Hopefully, at least that's what we tried. We tried to, of course, we have this intriguing thought about celebrating alcohol in some sense, but there's a deeper level where we try to investigate being brought back to life.
It's an exhilarating experience witnessing all of these things happening with these main characters. I was emotionally invested in every single one of them, so when things happened, I felt it. And then by the very end of the experience, going through this journey with these characters, watching Mads Mikkelsen at the very end and experiencing all of the things he went through in this movie, leading to this very moment.
It's so good!
It's sad, but it's beautiful at the same time. Like, this movie made me feel so many emotions. And it just felt so good and sad and heartbreaking, emotional, everything. But it's an awesome movie in general that has everything. A solid, realistic story about ordinary people doing things in life, and shit happens. But yet, life goes on. And that's all I have to say. So as always,